Good evening and welcome to the Bella Vista City Council meeting for Monday, February 25th. Will you please join us and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll do the roll call of council. Councilmember Willems. Here. York. Here. Fowler. Here. Flynn. Here. Lloyd. Here. Wozniak. Here. All present.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to suspend the rules to make the mayor's report on the Trafalgar Road update prior to the citizen input.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilmember Wozniak.
Yes.
Lloyd.
Yes.
Flynn.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
York.
Yes.
Willems.
Yes.
Carried.
This afternoon I received some very exciting news that I want to share with you. I suspect a lot of you already know this. Today, Senator Jim Hendren, together with State Representatives McCollum and McKenzie, filed Senate Bill 406, which is a $20 million supplemental appropriation for contractual services for ADEQ, so the funds may be available before the end of the current fiscal year, which is June 30th. I'm delighted to also inform you that they have the governor's full support. This, ladies and gentlemen, is incredibly good news for all of us. The funding, at long, long last. It still has to go through, committees and get passage, but given who's supporting it and who's presenting it, I am extremely optimistic. I'd still, however, like to take you through what's been happening in the past month. After our last council meeting, the very next morning at 7:02 in the morning, to be precise, I sent a note to Director Keogh. Director Keogh is the head of the ADEQ. I won't read all of it, but I did have some highlights where I cited that people are crying for the safety of their children. People have evacuated their homes and are requesting financial assistance to defray costs. My ask was threefold: immediate funding for voluntary evacuations, intervention with financial institutions to provide mortgage relief so residents can divert funds towards health and welfare, and a much faster fire suppression effort. Quite frankly, the excavation is secondary. Fire is first. I also stated that yesterday we sent a firefighting proposal to NSAFE and Dr. Blands, who is the Chief Technology Officer for ADEQ, prepared by a firm in Ohio. The cost is just under $3 million. If they are successful after their startup costs, they're saying just don't pay us anymore. So what I said to her was, I'm willing to call a special meeting of City Council to request that the city put aside $1.5 million of our reserves towards that effort immediately. In other words, half. I also said I'm asking for a reply today, please, that will display quick action and caring for our residents. I never got a reply. There has, however, been some positive news. I will give full credit to the residents who have opened their homes to those that are in the close proximity to the fire. The First Methodist United Church on Boyce Drive has opened their parish hall as a shelter during the day from Monday to Friday, and the fire department will provide transportation. Both Congressman Womack and Senator Cotton continue discussions with federal agencies. And tomorrow, the Arkansas National Guard, they arrived this afternoon, will be conducting air monitoring in the community immediately adjacent to the Trafalgar Road fire. Lowe's has established a discount program for Bella Vista residents for air filters, air purifiers, and masks. In January, OnSafe, the environmental engineering firm consulting with ADEQ, issued a response action plan. Many of you, I think, have already seen it. It's available on our webpage and on the webpage of ADEQ. On the very first page, site preparation activities are listed. I'm pleased to tell you that all the work that has been requested of the city has been completed, the latest of which was an 800-foot long culvert to divert water off Trafalgar to the south of the fire, and also to keep the oxygen from going in the old culvert that Cooper put in years ago that may have been feeding the fire. The remaining activities include an access road and the building of a weir and a containment pond. When I spoke to the ADEQ project manager after they had arrived on site and didn't bother to tell us, I was informed that they were no longer in discussion with the county to build the access road. Instead, they're planning to use private contractors. I asked them if they were still on track to complete the all-site prep by mid-March, which is 60 days, which is also in here. He said no. Poor weather has hampered their ability to be able to do the remaining activities. I asked him for a completion date. None was offered. Everyone, including the city, has been frustrated about the lack of communication from the state. Last week I voiced my concerns about the lack of communication and information during a television interview. Extremely frustrated and angry. Last Friday, late in the day, I received a call from ADEQ. We had a very frank discussion about improving communications, and I am hopeful that we will receive more information going forward and in a timely manner. I ask that once a solution has been selected, ADEQ convene a community meeting immediately to show us the plan and the timeline. I also confirmed with ADEQ that regardless of the selection that they make, I am still willing to approach my colleagues here and ask that they obligate $1.5 million towards the solution. All members of council share your concerns, and we do truly wish that you are not going through this. We have our commitment to continue to work with all agencies to complete the most important element of this plan, to put the bloody fire out. Senator Hendren's appropriation bill just moved the yardsticks much closer than ever before. Thank you. We'll now move on to citizen input.
Yep.
First is Larry Tucker.
Good evening. This is my first time to speak before you. My wife and I moved into 2 Noel Lane, Bella Vista, on August 31st. We're approximately 1,200 feet from that fire. From the end of our driveway, we can see the new building that was erected on that property. On September 3rd, much to our surprise, and because we travel, we're not here much, we weren't aware of all the details of the fire. On September 3rd, it hit us, literally, in the face. Since that time, in many instances, the smoke has come into our house. I, in particular, have suffered headaches, sore throat, burning eyes, just not a pleasant experience. Because of this situation, we have not invited our grandsons to visit us. We have friends coming through from Georgia to Colorado this summer. We have told them to go around our town. I have let all my friends from out of state on Facebook advise them do not come to Bella Vista because of the environmental situation in our city. I appreciate your efforts. I appreciate the efforts of the council. Because at the end of the day, the reputation of the city of Bella Vista and the health of its citizens are what's suffering. I've heard politicians make speeches. I've seen them walk the side. I've seen them make promises. But as of today, nothing has actually been taken, no action to put the fire out. 7 months later, no definitive action has been taken. Yet last night, at 1:30 in the morning, there was a smog of smoke, thick, throughout our neighborhood. I would invite all of you to drive around between 11:30, 2 o'clock in the morning on Trafalgar, Kingsland, other neighborhoods, and see what it is really like. In closing, I appreciate your efforts, I appreciate your passion, but I have 2 points of interest. Very dissimilar project, but within 5 miles of here. There's the equipment and there's the expertise building a road that could be used on that side if communication is done between agencies. More importantly, as we talk dollars, the bid to complete the northbound lanes was $27 million. Yet the quote to remove and excavate a 5-acre valley was $21 to $37 million. Now, does that make sense? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Let's go.
Actually bringing my family up with me. Oh, buddy. It's me again, Chris Nelson, 1 Harrington Drive. We're the Nelson family. Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you personally for making your public statements calling out the ADQ for their lack of communication. That took a lot of courage. That's the type of courage we need as a community for all of you to step up for us and have our voices heard. I'm only a single voice in this community, and I only regard myself as a leader of my family. My reasons for coming to the council meetings over the past month have been to voice my concerns regarding the impact that this fire has taken on the taxpayers and to demand better for our community, which I feel like you guys are starting to do. You're starting to really demand better for our community. We need our officials to do this on every aspect. I ask that you be vocal and use your positions and resources with the media to echo our calls for help. Be vigilant in demanding a timely extinguishment from Becky Keogh, the director of ADEQ. Many have shed light on this situation and don't feel that this got handled appropriately from the beginning. But one thing is evident is that this situation has had many learning moments to be taken from this horrible experience. The absence of truth gives people a false sense of security. I encourage you to start being more truthful on social media. Publish this on your city website. Make that the central point of information. The overuse of Facebook is just rampant. Failing to take a proactive stance perpetuates the anxiety. A lot of people in this community are anxious and fearful. Let's take a proactive approach and get ahead of the situation before it becomes a problem. This also enables antagonists to fuel the anger, which we know we have a problem with that in this community on social media as well. The lack of communication leaves many to their own devices to try and seek information to understand what has really happened here. After hearing that the real estate board has deemed that this must be disclosed in all of Bella Vista, it's my hope that everyone can put their differences aside, forget the past, and get behind the one topic that this community can unite on, and that's getting this fire extinguished. If there's any way that I can be of assistance to better this community, please let me know. You have my number and you can call me. I'll continue to try to educate people and spread awareness regarding this situation until it's extinguished. And now my son will ask what my family really wants to ask of you guys, and I hope that you hear it.
Mr. Mayor, I know the stump thumb's bad, but frustrates our noses.
He wants the fire out more than anything.
I'm sure he does. I look forward to continue the meetings as well, Chris, with you and Kelly.
Thank you, sir.
Good job, buddy.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, I'm here tonight to express my disappointment that all but Councilmember Burke decided not to show up at the Town Hall meeting on February 12th at Reardon Hall. Estimated attendance was 130 citizens. Mr. Mayor, I know for a fact that you're invited. As a Town Hall meeting moderator, I even attempted to call you on Monday the 11th to confirm your attendance. I called at approximately 9:30 a.m. I sat on hold for 3 minutes waiting to speak to you. Vicki came back on the line and said she'd give you my number. Mr. Mayor, this is the second time I've tried to call you and you haven't returned the call. Ironically, you mentioned contacting the ADEQ and they didn't return yours, and I could hear the frustration in your voice that they didn't return your call. It's ironic that you were on the news recently complaining that the ADEQ is not communicating. I offer a solution, and I understand that you were on the news tonight and you kind of discussed it, so I'm breaking away from the script here a little. And that was you'd like the ADEQ to come down when they have a plan to share that plan with the rest of the citizens. And I think that's a great idea. And I'd go one step further. Look, there's no doubt that there's a lot of information on the ADEQ's page, on the Facebook page, and also on the Bella Vista website. But you know something? There's something to be said about engaging face-to-face with the citizens. And I think the chief could probably tell you, because there was a uniformed officer at the town hall meeting. I think that uniformed officer was bored out of his mind. It was, it was well attended. Everybody minded their P's and Q's. They just wanted information. And you know something? If you don't know the answer, it's okay to say, I don't know. But not showing up, that becomes an issue where people's, as Chris pointed out, their minds start to wonder what's going on. Especially when you hear things like the National Guard showing up. Heard and seen on Facebook and been texted by citizens saying, what does that mean? Truth be told, I should not be the one to answer that question. And so, I think it's good that you've invited ADEQ down. I think, based on your position as our leader, that, requesting these people, even if you have to utilize the media to do it, that brings them to the table. And when you guys are at the table, along with the agencies who are clearly in the lead, and I'll give you that, ADEM's in the lead. ADEQ's following what, is the agency that's been tasked with the mitigation of this fire. Sure. But if you bring them to the table and give our citizens an opportunity to ask the questions, and if you don't know the answer, just say, I don't know. I think that it would relieve a lot of anxiety that we have. And it would also demonstrate a level of leadership that is sympathetic to the people. And that's all I'd like to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly?
What to say? I can tell you last night, around, right around 7-ish. Can you hear me?
Yeah, 7:30.
7:30. I have it on my phone. I started snapping pictures of the air quality because I smelt it. And I have a brand new home and it's sealed really good. It's not like I have a crappy home and it's just flowing through my house. I change my filters regularly, and all of a sudden I started smelling it. This disgusting odor that just doesn't go away. I don't even have the right word for it. It's just disgusting. And then all of a sudden I could taste it in my mouth. I look at the air monitor and it's like, boom, it's going off the chart. And so I just kept snapping a picture every half hour. It got to over 300 and something at my house. At 200, between 200 and 300 health warnings of emergency conditions. The entire population is more likely to be affected. That's by Purple Air Monitoring. That's one of their warnings. Between that reading of 200 and 300, it was over 300. At 300 to 400, which it was, health alert. Everyone may experience more serious health effects. Do you know what the definition of emergency is?
Right.
Nobody? I do. I looked it up today in the dictionary. You want to know what it is? Sure. So the definition for emergency, give me 1 second. I'm not as fast as most people. Emergency. Right here it says, and I don't have my glasses, a sudden, urgent, usually unexpected occurrence or occasion requiring immediate action. Immediate action needs to be taken. Has it been taken? I mean, I've read our monitor saying over 700 and something. That's the worst entire air in the entire world. That's unacceptable. I'm living in a home where I'm wondering if I'm going to wake up in the morning. That's unacceptable. You know, and I personally, I want to say thank you to the mayor. We had an engagement. We talked about, you know, when ADEQ came out with their response and their ridiculous statement. You know, and I'm just a retired sheet metal guy, right? So I'm trying to communicate with a guy that has this position, and I know nothing about politics. But I'm like, hey, bro, and that's how I talk to him. Hey, bro, you need to call out ADEQ, and you need to get on the television and do that. You know what I mean? Let the people know that you're willing to do something. You know what I mean? We can't just come in here and whine for 3 minutes and, you know, talk to our neighbors and say, man, I've had enough. Like, and he did it. And I was like, whoa, that's a leader. That's what elected officials do. They stand up for the community that is suffering. And I applaud you for that. I don't have a lot of great words prior to events that had happened prior to that. But at that point, I'm like, wow, cool, bitchin'. This guy's on it. Maybe, you know, everybody changes. Everyone has a past. We talked about getting in the van. You know what I mean? Getting in a bus. Gathering the crowd. Let's go down to Little Rock. Make an appointment with the so-called governor, you know, and Becky Keogh from ADEQ that doesn't do nothing. You know, she don't even answer her phone. How does she have a job? Is it because she's related? Do you know her middle name? You know what her middle name is? Does anybody know her middle name here? Huh?
Her maiden name?
Her middle name. Look it up. She's related to someone. No, she's related to a state official here. I mean, everybody's connected here. Is this crazy? You know what I mean? This is great. You know what I did? When I got this information, I called some friends in Washington that are union labor leaders, and they have a lot of power, whether you like unions or not. They have a lot of push. You know what I mean? So I called these guys. You know, I said, hey man, can you guys reach out to this guy? Can you reach out to our governor? They were golfing with him last week. Or, I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago. And he said, send me the information you got, and we'll write a letter, and we'll do everything we possibly can to help this thing get pushed through Washington. That's all I can do. I can only do what I can do, you know. I don't know how government works. I don't know how you politicians do stuff. You don't want to know what I think about it. It's not good, you know what I mean? It's not. It's not, and it's not even funny, man. This is ridiculous. My life is on the line. Did you hear that kid when he shared? They were laughing. There's nothing funny about that. There's nothing funny about what's happening here. If you ain't irate about what the heck's going on here, something's wrong with you. You know what I mean? And, you know, I didn't want to come up here and do all this. I get all emotional. I get into it. I'm passionate about it. I want change. I want you to do something. Other than sit here and nod your head and go, hey man, yeah, that's a good idea. We should talk about that. I'm done talking. And I was thinking, you know, do we need the National Guard to come in here and do testing? Do we really? How many tests are they going to do? I mean, we have a cluster of people that are sick with the same stuff. Really? You need more testing? I never needed it to know something was wrong here. You know, people are getting sick, dogs are getting sick, animals outside, the wildlife's getting sick. Really? do something, man. I don't want to be hateful, I don't want to be resentful, and I don't want to be angry, and I'm not. I'm confused. I'm over it. I want to just give up. I want to leave my house. I don't even want to deal with this anymore. Man, you're going to put up 1.5? Wonderful, man. Who in the hell's knocking on my door? Hey, bro, you okay? Is it anyone from the city? Is it my fire department? Hey, we're just doing a welfare check on the neighborhood, man. I know air was bad last night. It's beyond ridiculous. Just want to make sure you're all right over there, man. No one. This is cool. Do I believe in it? I don't know. I mean, a lot of people talk out of the side of their neck around here. I need action. You know what I mean? Don't talk about it. Show me what you're doing. I'm a picture guy, you know what I mean? I don't read stuff. Show me what you're doing. So please, man, if you mean, let's go to Little Rock and have a schedule with Becky Keogh, the one that doesn't do nothing, you know what I mean? And have her meet at the governor's office. Let's set a time. Let's get some community members together and go, we need to put the fire out.
We need it out.
We need to put the fire out.
It needs to be out. Put it out.
That's it.
Thank you, Kelly.
You have a right to be passionate about your faith.
William Powell.
Kelly.
I know it's going to sound maybe petty compared to what we just heard, but I do think it needs to be addressed. And my name is William Powell. I live at 13 Tellingham Lane, Bella Vista. I've been here for 8 years. And first I want to say I can't even imagine what they're going through, living on the other side of the city. But, I also believe that our area was wronged by the city when the property near 581 Chelsea Drive was allowed to go ahead and conduct business as a campground and venue without any formal notice to the property owners in the area. We did not get any notice that it was going to happen. We did not receive a chance to have a hearing on the new zoning, and it was allowing them to go ahead and operate their business in an R1 residential area surrounded by houses. And according to what I received back from the mayor, that it was done because the necessary paperwork was not filed when the annexation happened back in 2015. And I quote from the letter, to resolve any potential legal dispute in regards to the city annexation and zoning action, the city agrees that the use of the property at its current intensity would be permitted as a non-existing, non-conforming in pursuant to the zoning ordinance. Again, none of the homeowners in the area were notified of this. We really heard about it happening when November evening when the inaugural cave party happened at the property, which included live music that could be heard from my deck. It could be heard within the house of my mother-in-law, who lives next door with her doors shut and her windows closed. And this happened, they were playing amplified music till well after dark. Some neighbors did call the police to report it, and what I was told, that they said that there's nothing they can do about it because they have a permit to have their party. And which included giving away a free beer, and I just don't think that belongs in our neighborhood. Again, we were totally unaware of this. I believe the business has a negative impact on the neighborhood, including reducing of our property value. If I was looking to relocate in Bella Vista now, I would not look at the neighborhood in Redford or Plymouth, Buckland, Highlands, or Belgrade anymore. I would not look at those. I'm not an attorney, so I don't know if the city did anything right or wrong. I'm assuming everything you did was legal, but it was not right for the residents of that neighborhood. And according to the Village Vista, the property owners want to be good neighbors, and the city believes that they are good partners, but I do not believe threatening legal action sounds too neighborly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Jim Parsons.
I'm Jim Parsons, and I'm chairman of the Bella Vista Patriots, and I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen, we're meeting here each month and each time at the wrong place. We probably ought to be over at the country club. They're the ones who put the things in there that are burning right now. They're the ones that put the tires and the batteries and the PCV pipes in there. These people never owned the stump dump. They never rented it. They never put anything in it. They've only tried to be conciliatory toward us about what's going on and listening to us, but really, they don't have any money. And for them to say that they want to give $1 million or a little over to this, that's commendable. And it's good that Senator Hendren wants to give us $20 million. Let's do that and let's get the fire out. But really, where we ought to be venting our anger is at the people that the Patriots caught in 2004 putting concrete drums and PCV pipes and things in there that's burning today. Car batteries and transmissions and car parts. Townhouse is still dumping things in there today. And we have a picture of it. They haven't stopped yet. And this thing needs to... EPA is not going to help. They've said that. FEMA never considered it in the first place because FEMA worked with God-directed things like floods, earthquakes, and tornadoes. This was a man-made thing. And they're not going to give us money for something that somebody did. So what we need to do is direct our attention at getting the money, the $20 million, and the city wants to put $1 million in it, but really I don't recommend that because that's our money, and we didn't do it. POA did. Blue Mountain Storage did. Cooper, we caught them putting his stuff in there. We've got pictures of it. And so it's those people who ought to be paying for this, and they ought to be paying for it now. What I'm asking the City Council tonight is, already the city's invested a good bit of man-hours at this, lost time that could be working on our roads, doing other things that are city property, our property, and we diverted it to over something where POA did it. What I'm asking you to do is draft up all the expenses, man-hours that we've spent so far by the city, and ask our attorney, Mr. Kelly, to file a lawsuit and recoup this from the POA if a lawsuit's necessary. I'd say just offer the bill to them and say, pay it now, let's get our money back. And so if you will, do that. Now, he has to have an order from the City Council in order for him to act. So City Council, what I'm asking is, please give him an order to go over there and present them with a bill. That's the least that the POA could do. We're really going to be looking for about $10 million from them, about $10 million from Blue Mountain, and $10 million from Cooper. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Jim.
Is it Brianna?
Brenna.
Brenna? Sorry.
My name's Brenna. I have 2 children who have been trading off being ill for the past couple of months. Finally started tuning in, checking the purple air monitors, figuring out that I live on the west side. I'm not near Trafalgar Road. But the nights when the winds change, guess what happens? My house fills up with smoke. I've gotten up in the middle of the night thinking it's our fireplace. It isn't. I've not been able to sleep at night at 11:30 because my eyes are burning, because my throat's hurting, only to wake up to hear my children coughing. I have a few problems here because I understand what's coming out of this fire. I have a degree in science. I've done some research. Benzene starts to cause leukemia-type cancers, blood and bone cancers, after constant exposure for 1 year. They're saying they're testing and they're finding arsenic in the water. It's not just in the water. The problem with the tests that have been done so far is they only test for particles, microdust in the air. They don't test for the chemicals that are coming out of this fire. We know there's car batteries, we know there's tires, we know there's piping and construction debris. We also know that there's naturally occurring things in the ground. Who knows what else is in there? I have a feeling like we don't want to dig it up and find out. Much ado about nothing. Look the other way. I'm going to urge you guys to start looking into utilizing your Freedom of Information Act rights. Start to follow the money, not just relying on certain citizens to do so. You all, as American citizens, have the right to utilize that, because you need to start figuring out who's donating to the governor's campaign, who's appointing people in these state offices that are having each other's backs. Who ran Cooper Communities at the time that this was taking place? Who was heading up the POA at the time that this was taking place? And where are they now? I have another problem, because I disagree slightly with Mr. Parsons. We are your citizens. It doesn't matter who caused the fire. It is your job to help us. Why wasn't there an evacuation order issued when you had the opportunity to do so? Why aren't we putting this $1.5 million towards helping the citizens now rather than having a corporation give them a discount? You said you feel sorry for what we are going through, not all of us. This is the city of Bella Vista's problem. This isn't just our problem. This isn't just the Trafalgar Road neighborhood's problem. This is now becoming a Missouri problem, a Pea Ridge problem, a Bentonville problem. It affects Bentonville Public Schools. My grandfather is a fully disabled veteran who lives in North Bentonville, who has pulmonary fibrosis and is on oxygen. My grandmother has environmental COPD, and they're starting to be affected by this. I don't think that this is okay, and I don't think that sitting back and waiting for the citizens to push for this stuff is acceptable anymore. And I'm not easily let off the hook. I also want to know why the other city council members and the mayor and other offices didn't show up to the town hall meeting. I couldn't attend. My children were sick, again. But I did watch the live stream, and I posted questions in real time. I appreciate that Stephen Burke actually took the time to show up and answer what questions he could. The back and forth between all of the government offices needs to stop. They need to tell us who's in charge, and they need to give us a direct line, because I'm tired of the EDQ not answering questions. I'm tired of just now, the National Guard is saying, hey, we can't answer these questions. You got to send it to somebody else. It's push it down the line, drop in the bucket, not my problem. And I'm tired of it. You are all paid by your citizens with our taxpayer funds. Not just you guys, but these other government agencies. And we're not getting our money's worth. And I'm over it. That's all I have to say for now. Oh, no, I do have one point to clarify. Purple air monitors, in real time, are measuring the microdust, as we said. Kelly actually said that there's a little scale at the bottom that tells you how dangerous that is, and that goes from 0 to 500. We've had air over 700. That's not actually Purple Air Monitor scale, that's the EPA scale. They don't even have recommendations past 500. They don't know what to tell you at that point. We're having air consistently over 100 every other day at least. And it doesn't just, the monitors are only in a small part of town. We're working on spreading that out because it's affecting all the way across state lines and city lines. It's not just Bella Vista's problem anymore. And the millions of people that come through here with businesses, as vendors, selling things, bike trails. What was that?
Mountain bikers.
Mountain bikers.
That aren't being warned what they're smelling.
Nobody's being warned. There's not signs, there's not literature. Because I can tell you that most people here don't realize what benzene does. We don't even know what else is out there yet because they haven't tested it. When you take a test to get an accurate baseline, you have to test fully. You can't cherry pick times of day, you can't cherry pick certain weather, you can't cherry pick every other day, and you can't utilize equipment that's too old that doesn't work. If it doesn't work, the test is ruined. Sorry. It doesn't work like that. That's not how you do research. Minimum needs to be 24 hours a day for a week. It needs to be overnight when the citizens are at home that are being affected. You're at home, it's worse at night anyway because the temperatures drop. We know that. Why aren't we testing when we're home? Why are we only testing once the sun's come up and the air has cleared? We all know it's there. It's out there on purpleairmonitor.com. I appreciate you guys.
Put the fire out.
And it is on the west side too. I live on the west side and I'm having
I've seen
health
it.
problems.
I've got pictures of the hay surrounding my house,
My,
going out to take the
my
trash out.
backyard turned gray last night. I'm not on the list to talk, but I'm going to second everything she said.
Me too.
Okay,
And I live on the west side.
appreciate your comments. Thank you very much, as always. Okay, we'll move on with the meeting now. The next is the approval of the minutes of the January 28th council meeting. Were there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, I entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Councilmember Lloyd,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Short. Yes. Wilms. Yes. Wozniak.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
Carried, 6-0.
Thanks. The next is the monthly financial reports. They're actually the year-end reports for 2018. We went through the work session. Are there any other questions? Alrighty, thank you. I entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read all proposed ordinances and resolutions on the agenda by title only.
So moved.
Councilmember Wozniak.
Yes.
Lloyd,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
Will.
Yes.
Carried, 6-0.
Thank you. We don't have any old business, so we'll move on to new. The first is an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Bella Vista to enact Section 20-7 foothold traps to prohibit the use of such devices in order to protect public safety and for other purposes. If you remember, this is a citizen who's come to us and has spotted that foothold traps are being used. They're very, very dangerous. We have children that go down into the hollows to explore, and the last thing we need is a foothold trap down there to grab a child's ankle. Is there any discussion? I would actually entertain a motion to suspend the rules and move to third and final reading so we can move this along.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Councilmember Lloyd, excuse me.
Yes.
Still motion to suspend the rules. Right, this is suspend. Flynn,
Yes.
Wozniak,
Yes.
Wilms,
Yes.
Wark. Yes. Fowler,
Yes.
carried, 6-0.
Okay, so reading it for the third and final time, amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Bella Vista to enact Section 20-7 foothold traps to prohibit the usage of such devices in order to protect public safety and for other purposes. Any further discussion? Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Bork. Yes. Fowler,
Yes.
Wilms,
Yes.
Wozniak,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Yes.
carried, 6-0.
Okay, the next is an ordinance amending the Bella Vista zoning ordinance and map to rezone property described in rezoning petition number 2019-29955, county parcel number 16-28062-001 from R1 residential single to C1 neighborhood commercial. This is the first reading. We talked about this at the work session. I was informed this afternoon by staff that there are some outstanding questions that still need to be resolved, and staff is actually asking that we table this until the next regular meeting, which will be in March.
So moved. Second.
All right. On the motion to table, Councilmember Lloyd,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Wozniak,
Yes.
Wilms,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Bork. Yes. Carried.
Okay, we move into resolutions. The first is directing proceeds from the sale of equipment procured for the police department through the Law Enforcement Support Office, which is known as LESO. Military surplus program to be deposited into the police department drug fund in support of drug interdiction and enforcement activities. For those of you that aren't familiar with this, there is a program that the police can obtain equipment free of charge, and they get it as is. And the rules are that it must be kept by the police department for a year. Now, in certain circumstances where it doesn't work out, if we keep it for a year, then we are free to sell it. And what the chief is asking for is that any proceeds from the sale would actually go into the police department drug fund in support of drug interdiction and enforcement activities. Is there any discussion on it? Okay, I'd entertain a motion to
Motion to approve. Second.
All right. Councilmember Wozniak,
Yes.
Wilms,
Yes.
Warp,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Yes.
carried 6-0.
The next resolution is authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to enter into a contract with Superior Automotive Group of Silent Springs pursuant to a state procurement contract for the purchase of 2 2019 Dodge Chargers, 1 2019 Dodge Durango, and 1 2019 Dodge Ram 1500 in the total amount not to exceed $105,000 for the police department. I would draw your notice to the phrase state procurement contract. We have the ability, as do all cities in Arkansas, to actually link up with the bid that the state has already done for these types of vehicles, provided that they're within their procurement, so that we don't have to go to bid and we can take advantage of the bidding that they've already done and the prices. So that's what we're doing here. Is there any discussion at all? I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So move. Second.
Councilmember Fowler,
Yes.
Warp,
Yes.
Wilms,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Wozniak,
Yes.
carried 6-0.
Okay, the next resolution is awarding bid and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into a contract with Braun Industries in an amount not to exceed $147,764 for an ambulance remount for the fire department. And what this means is, instead of buying a new ambulance, which is much more money, we have the opportunity, as we did last year, to actually send it out for a remount. So we get a new chassis, and we get a new engine and driver's compartment, and we take the old box off it, we put the old box on the new one, and then we can do upgrades to the ambulance box itself, as over time the technology has changed and it is still much cheaper than going out and buying a new ambulance. Is there any discussion about it? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So move. Second.
Councilmember Wilms,
Aye.
Fowler,
Yes.
Warp,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Yes.
Wozniak,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
carried 6-0.
Thank you. The next resolution is approving the mayor's appointment of Chris Estel to the Bella Vista Board of Zoning Adjustment to fill an unexpired term in position 1 ending October the 1st, 2019. The Board of Zoning Adjustment is one of the committees within the city. If you are wanting to make a variance, for example, you want to break the rules, is really what it is, on the ordinances. And for various things, you may want to move your shed closer to the setback than is normally allowed, that kind of thing. So this committee is set up to actually make those determinations. We had Mr. Wilms, who actually was on it, and he's now in council, so this position has come available. And Mr. Estel is a highly qualified architect who works for Hyde Jackson, and I'm sure will do a great job for us. Any discussion? Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Councilmember Lloyd,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Wozniak,
Yes.
Wilms,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Carried 6-0.
The next resolution is making various adjustments to the 2019 city budget. If you remember, these are the restricted funds, not the operation funds. So this is money that is actually tied to a certain specific project, or it's a donation that someone has given for a specific purchase. And you don't know, as you're going through the budget season, where that's going to end up. You have to wait until you've finished your actual reconciliation of your books at the end of the year, which is now done. And if you remember at the work session, our finance director, Carrie Elston, took us through line by line to discuss each one. Are there any comments at all?
Mayor Christie, just wanted to add additional clarity around the fact that it refers to these as adjustments, and really it just seems to me to be clearly stating what the imbalances are at the beginning of the year, what's been provided to us by way of grants over the course of the previous year that has not been spent yet.
Correct.
And it's just a way of identifying that. It's a best practice in terms of accounting practices.
It is so. Any other comments? I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So
Second.
All right. Councilmember Lloyd,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Wozniak,
Yes.
Wilms,
Yes.
Work,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Carried 6-0.
Okay, the next resolution is authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to enter into a contract with Superior Automotive Group of Siloam Springs pursuant to a state procurement contract for the purchase of a 2019 Chevy Tahoe 4x4 special service vehicle in the amount of $35,252 for the fire department. I draw your attention again now, this is on a state procurement contract, as I mentioned once before. Is there any discussion at all? I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
All right. Councilmember Bork,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Wilms,
Yes.
Wozniak,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Yes.
carried 6-0.
Thank you. The next resolution is awarding bid and authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to enter into a contract with Superior Automotive Group of Siloam Springs for the purchase of a 2019 Chevrolet Silverado 4x4 2500 HD truck in the amount of $30,533 for the fire department. The key word here is bid. This particular vehicle was not available on the state contract, so we had to go out and actually do a formal bid because it's in excess of $20,000. Is there any discussion at all? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Councilmember Wozniak,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Yes.
Bork,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Wilms,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
carried 6-0.
The next resolution is amending the 2019 city budget to reclassify jail fee revenue of $4,060 from general fund revenue to restricted revenue. Again, the money in this revenue account is only used for jail fee revenue and cannot be used for other uses. So we put it into a restricted account. We do not allow it to sit in the general fund. Is there any discussion at all? I entertain a motion to approve.
So second.
All right. Councilmember Fowler,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Yes.
Wozniak,
Yes.
Work,
Yes.
Wilms,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
carried 6-0.
Thank you. The next resolution is approving the mayor's reappointments of Daniel Ellis and Gail Klesson to the Bella Vista Planning Commission for 4-year terms expiring March 1st, 2023. The Planning Commission is where you might want to go, for example, if you're requesting a rezoning. Daniel Ellis is a professional engineer and he's the chairman. He works for Kraft and Tull. He's been doing this a long time, and he's provided excellent leadership. And Gail Klessig has also been on the commission for a great deal of years and provides a lot of valuable background and experience. Is there any discussion at all?
Yeah.
John?
Well, I'd just like to comment, the planning commission people do a lot of really important things, and they don't get any compensation, and these two folks have done a great job. We're really lucky to have people of this quality. And sometimes citizens come to the meeting and get mad at them about things, too, for no extra charge.
Yeah, no, I was just more or less going to echo what John was saying. This is a very well-run commission, and we're really fortunate to have, leadership too in the chairman's seat of Daniel Ellis. He really knows what he's doing. He's very good. He's just a wealth of experience. So we're really fortunate to have him. Very well-run committee.
As a former member of the Planning Commission myself, I concur with John and Doug. And in particular, Mr. Ellis is a very capable leader, knows the rules and the guidelines very well. But I would like to say also that all of the members of the Board of Zoning Adjustments and the Planning Commissions are volunteer members of our community. And our community cannot function without people being willing to step forward and contribute. And oftentimes, as was suggested, it's not a comfortable position to be in, but it is a necessity that we have competent, capable people willing to step forward and volunteer in these positions. And I acknowledge all of them, share my appreciation for what they do.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Bork.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
Wilms.
Yes.
Wozniak.
Yes.
Flynn.
Yes.
Lloyd.
Yes.
Carried 6-0.
Thank you. The next resolution, approving the Bella Vista Police Department policy regarding a response outside jurisdiction and a revised command structure. If you remember, Chief took us through. We have agreements with Rogers, Bentonville, Gravett, Centerton, and Pea Ridge to help one another. They're called mutual aid agreements. However, now that we have a drug enforcement officer, he is becoming involved in Homeland Security and U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and we do not have an agreement with them. So this is part of that to put it in place. And the other is there has been a change to the organizational structure since the chief has been here. We have a professional standards master sergeant and a narcotics officer, and there's a new clerk that's also in the criminal investigation division. So that is shown here on the new chain of command. Are there any questions at all? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Councilmember Lloyd.
Yes.
Flynn.
Yes.
Wozniak.
Yes.
Wilms.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
Bork.
Yes.
Carried 6-0.
Thank you. The final resolution is expressing the opinion of the Bella Vista City Council against the Arkansas General Assembly's adoption of Senate Bill 170 regarding residential building design standards. We talked about this at the work session. This has been brought forward by Council Member Lloyd. It is also one that the Municipal League is asking for support against. It's taking the ability for cities to regulate the house size, materials, and design standards, and instead putting it into a statewide basis. It would eliminate our ability to use the planned zoning district, which we have used once, which was for the the Country Club Estates, which is a 48-home subdivision. And it would also greatly limit the city of Bella Vista's ability to ensure adequate workforce housing opportunities for its residents. So this is an expression of opinion against the General Assembly's adoption of the bill. If this passes this evening, then the city clerk shall cause a copy of this resolution to be delivered to the Bella Vista legislative delegation, members of the Arkansas Committee on City and House and Local Affairs and to the Governor as well. Is there any discussion at all? John?
In some of the handouts, I noticed that some of the things were occurring before tonight, so I assume the bill's still up in the air.
Still up in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steve?
Mayor Christie, I did study this bill, read it thoroughly today, and studied its progress as it's moved along at the state level. I did note also that the Arkansas Municipal League originally was against it, but since then they have worked with the sponsors of the bill to make adjustments that has changed their position to be neutral. This bill is intended to protect freedoms and housing affordability. I question the efficacy of our city council sending such a resolution. I have no interest in supporting this.
Okay, fair enough. Anybody else? Linda?
I strongly feel that it is that house design and standards and size of houses is a local matter and should not be dictated to a local municipality by the state. And I believe that this would also adversely affect our ability to have affordable housing in our city. And that's why I brought forth this resolution. Housing is a local matter and it should be decided on a local basis.
Okay, thank you.
I would agree with Linda and partially with Steve. The bill itself would have no impact on an ACC, only has an impact on governmental agencies like the city, county, towns in Arkansas. So the only ones that it would provide handcuffs for, if we were to go with a PZA, planned zoning district, it would restrict us from establishing standards of development within that area. So it precludes us from having any regulation or control of how the city may look for commercial or industrial type development. So I would support the passage of the council.
Anyone else? John?
Well, I was wondering why Linda thought it would make housing less affordable. Is it too strict, or?
For instance, I had previously proposed a development that would have a maximum size to ensure that smaller, more affordable houses were built. If I were to come to the city and propose such a development under a PZD situation, the city, if this bill were in place, would not be able to approve that. So whereas I think some of the proponents suggested it was to make sure that there wasn't a minimum size. For instance, in this neighborhood, all houses must be 1,800 square feet or bigger. It also would adversely affect someone who wanted to develop an area where they could not be bigger than, say, 1,800 square feet or 1,500 square feet to ensure that they were affordable. Cuts both ways, I believe.
Thanks for the explanation.
Anyone else? No?
Yeah, I don't know if I really studied it quite in depth with anyone else, but anytime I hear like a state control versus local, or federal versus state, or federal versus local, I just have a tendency to kind of shut down when I hear that, and because I think we should maintain control here locally over and make our own decisions.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
One more comment. In Bella Vista, we have largely a single developer for communities over time. We probably, over our lifetime here, will see other developers coming in on vacant land. Frequently what happens is that covenants are established by the developer wanting to set a theme or a standard for the development in his subdivision. Those are called covenants, and this would not impact those or regulate those in any way because they are established by the developer, not the city. So.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing no further discussion, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Councilmember Lloyd,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Wozniak,
Yes.
Wilms,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Wark,
No.
carried 5-1.
Thank you. That's the end of the resolutions. We now get to the meeting announcements. The next city council work session will be Monday, March the 18th at 5:30 here in the district court building. The next regular meeting of city council will be Monday, March 25th at 6:30, again here in the court building. The planning commission work session will be Thursday, March the 28th at 4:30 in the court building. The planning commission regular meeting will be April the 8th at 6:30 in the court building. The Board of Zoning Adjustment will be March 19th at 5:30 in the court building. And the Board of Construction Appeals will be March the 12th in the court building. Something other of note that's not down on the agenda that may be of interest to you is that on Tuesday, March the 12th at 6:30 at Cooper Elementary in the cafeteria, there is a public hearing where the POA wishes to show their extension of the Razorback Greenway from Blowing Springs. It ends right now at the very first parking lot as you drive in. They want to take it up to the Metfield Park. That would be a 10-foot wide concrete sidewalk, probably the first sidewalk that we've got at Bella Vista. But if you're of interest, that again is Tuesday, March the 12th at 6:30 at Cooper Elementary. Thank you for attending. Yes, Steve. Huh?
I just want to make one comment. Most people who are mad about the stump dump aren't here, but Aaron, I give you kudos for still being here. You know, as far as the meeting that you folks had a few weeks ago, and people were mad that people didn't attend, I don't know about the rest of council. I did find out about the meeting the day before. I was never invited to the meeting. You know, I have an email and a phone, and citizens contact me all the time. I go to meetings every week, and in every case, I get an email that says where it is and what time it is. So you might have a better batting average if you shoot everybody an email.
So are you suggesting that the same platform that we have to learn about your guys' meetings and information regarding the stump dump, we just, you know, to be honest with you, the mayor was who we wanted on the panel, but everyone was invited, and it was posted on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I'd just like to say too, I mean, I know a lot of people do Facebook. I personally choose not to. I don't do it.
No, I don't do it.
And so do a lot of the citizens, but that's where the information's coming from about this dump. And I think, you know, that's the problem.
That's fine. And I was. I mean, it sounds like I kind of like follow John. He speaks up, and then maybe I get the nerve to. But that's really not the case. I was just going to say, you know, once again, I mean, everybody gets it. I make trips when I'm in town, and recently here I've been gone about 3 out of the last 4 weeks. But I go out about every other day. And you know what? I'm just going to put this in layman's terms straight up. This thing sucks. It's horrible. I mean, I was out there today. I wanted to see if there was any equipment on site, if anyone was working. I mean, I check on it regularly. It wasn't bad, really, on the south side. I drive around to the north side. That's the way the wind's blowing. And there wasn't any smoke, really. I mean, coming off the dump, yes. But was there any wafting over the houses in the area? Not really. But the odor certainly was there, about to choke me. So, again, there wasn't any equipment, so I really don't know what they're doing. And I would just like to also say, I mean, I do think a lot of people understand that as far from a city perspective, and no one is exonerating anyone or anything, but once again, as a city, we really, truly don't have the resources. You don't have the manpower, we don't have the equipment, we don't have the money, we don't have the expertise, we truly don't. And if I could, I would just like to remind people that everybody that sits on this council comes from the community. We're your neighbors. We have an ex-police officer, we have a gentleman that works in another city's services, we have a real estate agent, a lawyer, consumer packaged goods, and from the energy industry. And I can assure you, I can speak for myself, I have no expertise in this area. And whenever I decided to do this and take on this position, I can tell you straight up, did I ever think that I would be in a situation or faced with an extraordinary circumstance such as this? I didn't. And I'll tell you, like, information, it'd be surprising. It doesn't come to us as readily as you may think it does, or we're not involved in decisions like you think we may be. You've heard the mayor's frustration. We're the same way. I'm not making excuses for us. I'm just saying that is the factual situation. And I will tell you, I do get a view of behind the scenes, and people are making extraordinary efforts, whether people want to believe it or not. And we don't have the ability, any of us, to just show up out there with all this equipment and start dumping water on this thing, or whatever it is that's going to put it out. That's truly the case. So we have to rely on state agencies and federal agencies to come in and help us do this, because that's where the resources and really the expertise resides. We want this thing out so badly, you know, just like everyone else does. It is. It's horrible and it's terrible. But I just want to try to put a little perspective around this, if I may be able to do that. I just hope it gets done quick. I hope this $20 million gets appropriated, and I hope this thing, you know, gets put out like now. And to John's point, again, I told you straight up, honest as I can be. It's not that I don't have the capability to do Facebook. I absolutely do. I choose not to do it because it's freaking poison. It really is. It's filled with so much hatred and vitriol. I just don't care to go there. What I do, and my method for finding things out, is people get in contact with me, and they get in touch with me through the web, through our emails, send emails, or they call me. I respond sincerely to every single person. Call them, or I email them, I go meet them, whatever it takes. And I did find out about the meeting, just happened to, but it was the very last minute, and I was given the wrong day. They said Saturday, and then texted me, but my wife and I, we were on the road taking a trip. When I actually got the meeting date on Saturday for Tuesday, we weren't even here, so I couldn't have attended it regardless.
Right. Hey, Doug, so we get it. We understand this is a state issue. We understand that this doesn't have any resources and stuff like that. And the people that were invited to sit on the panel were invited about 30 days prior to the event. Me as the moderator just called and followed up on Monday before the event. And truth be told, the invitations didn't go out to the council members. They went out to the mayor. He was the one who sat on the panel the last time. But we get that. I think that if, you know, these things, these monumental things that you're doing behind the scenes, you know, that town hall meeting, you know, if you guys were to establish it, kind of like what I set up, or was stated up, you know, during that 3-minute time frame, if you guys were to establish some sort of cycle where you would allow discussion from the audience to answer some of those questions, and that interaction, I think, would go a long way to reducing some of the anxieties and frustrations, because you could tell your story to a larger audience. And, you know, that's just, I can tell you that I echo the sentiments of a lot of citizens that are on Facebook saying this, you know, and also, you know, talking to a group of us that, you know, just want to find out what's going on and, you know, see this problem resolved also.
Yeah, I hear you. It's just, some of the bottom line too is people, you're asking questions, and quite honestly, they don't have the answers. And so then they're left, you know, kind of hanging, and people just become like more upset. The overall situation of this whole thing is horrible for everybody. And just like you guys, man, trust me, you don't think we want it to go away? We absolutely do. And again, just feel so badly for the people that live out around the stump dump. You guys have been dealt a real crap sandwich. You have. And I don't know what the best way is. And two, I mean, people have been out in the community talking to churches, talking to all kinds of people to see if we could rally to get people together. And once you dial them in and you take them out and you show them around, honestly, people are just kind of at a loss as what to do, you know, how they can help. And I do know some people have offered rooms in their homes or discounts on hotels and different things like that. But
by a show of hands, how many council members, and Mayor, you too, how many went and visited with Kyle? He was the gentleman who spoke at the last town hall meeting that said he lives 600 feet from the dump, and he hasn't been visited by one person. I'm just curious. He came up and he spoke last council meeting. He was frustrated. He's a veteran of Afghanistan. And And how many people, by a show of hands, went and visited him? I've only been visited by one. And that was John Flynn. Doug and I talked. Our paths didn't cross, but he was willing to come. So I'm just saying, when you have a citizen come up that's, hey, I've got kids, they're exposed to this, and they're basically begging, hey, come and see, come and ask me how I'm doing. And he was at the city council meeting last month, and you know what? That was a powerful thing. I'm guessing by a show of hands that none of you did.
No, I didn't go see Kyle, and I didn't. And you know what? I apologize. I really meant to. I really did, but I just didn't have the time to do it. I was out there today. I saw one guy. He's washing his pickup. I stopped, pulled my truck over, and talked to him. The stump dump was right behind him. But too, Aaron, I'll just let you know. So I haven't had as many emails, and I'm going to get them now probably, as many emails or phone calls as you maybe think that I would have. I returned every single one of them, and I think I got a response from maybe one person, and that's it. That's just the truth. I have tried. And I've offered up to people to come and said, hey, here's my phone number, return your phone number. I'll be more than glad to come meet with you and to talk to you. And sincerely, I've talked, and I don't want to give the person's name out because they maybe don't want it out publicly. We've communicated, but no one else responded to me. It's just the truth. Again, not exonerating anything. But if we're going to have some talk and some dialogue, I just want to put some honesty on the table as well, from our perspective.
Aaron, I've spoken to many, many residents that have come to see me, and some of them. And we spend a good hour, an hour and a half talking through everything. And it's a great way to do it, as you said, face-to-face and one-on-one. I don't like it any more than anybody else does. I live up there, and so do my grandkids, but we live far enough away that we don't get the constant bombardment of smoke. And we offered our home to a resident that's close who was having some financial difficulty, and it was declined. I'll just let it go with that.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here this evening. Good night.
We've got a home, but anybody needs to space. Oh, yeah. Sorry.